G'day guys, it's Tim from True Gear here. Thanks for joining me today while I break down a day in the life with the Bluetti Elite 200. So cheers to Bluetti for partnering with me on this one. As most people know, we're a big fan of their gear already. We've taken the Bluetti AC180P through its paces, and it's now a go-to for keeping the camping fridge running for a couple of days. Now, this is a 2 kilowatt hour class power station, so it's a little bit different. It's got more battery capacity and a little bit more in the inverter as well, which has got enough juice to pretty much keep you covered for anything you need to do in a 24-hour block. While it's often bought for camping and running your RV, today I want to show you what it looks like and a bit of a worksite blackout situation at home. Now, one thing I should mention is that Bluetti have an identical unit called the Premium 200. The battery capacity, the inverter, pretty much everything is exactly the same. The only difference is the Premium has another 100 watt of output on the inverter, but let's take you through the box. We had two 90 watt hour battery banks on charge, 2000 watt drop saw, a 60 watt camping fridge, 12 volt, a 18,000 watts microwave, and a 2200 watt kettle. All right, you've just finished the workday, you've come home and you're about to go away for the weekend. So you're pretty excited. The only thing is, there's a blackout coming. Maybe some extreme weather rolling in, maybe a planned outage, and you want to make sure your fridge doesn't spoil while you're away. So what we're going to do is we're going to fast charge the Bluetti, which is pretty knackered from the day of work, and use it as a UPS for the fridge to make sure everything stays cold. It's a nice and easy setup. By the time the blackout rolls around, that will be fully charged. It only takes about an hour to get from 0 to 100%, by which time it will back up your fridge for 1 to 2 days. Given that most household fridges use about 800 watt hours a day to 1600 watt hours a day. So I'm going away on your trip in peace, and we'll roll through some things that we liked about the unit. All right, so a few things really stood out to me on this one. The whole thing feels very premium, and I know it sounds small, but something I really like about this is the buttons. Most other power stations have really clunky, cheap feeling buttons. Now, even though the buttons are just buttons, the fact that the Bluetti cares about them goes to indicate how much of a premium product it really is. They really focus on the 1%ers. And another really good example of that is that this power station has 6,000 life cycles. Most other power stations have about 3,000 3,500. 6,000 life cycles is pretty much permission to use the power station as much as you want. So if you use it every single day for 20 years, the battery capacity is only going to go down to 80%. So it's fantastic. Another thing other reviewers also picked up on, I don't have the testing equipment for it, maybe I should get it one day, but that the inverter draw, which is when the AC is on like that, it's pretty much changing the battery, so the battery from DC to AC, allowing you to use these outlets here. Now that actually takes up about 10 watts. It's not a lot of power. Even when it's on like that, it's taking up 10 watts. Compared to other power stations, which are at like about 15 watts, it's extremely efficient. So it might not sound like much, but those incremental 1% things really do stack up. So if you have it on all the time, 24 hours, it's 120 watt hours over the day. So it's substantial. Before you buy one of these units, there's a couple things you definitely should know. So this unit has no light, which means in a blackout situation, if you're going to go grab one of these things, there's obviously no lights on, and you're probably going to need a head torch, because when you're using both hands to carry it, there's no spare limb for a flashlight. So now when it comes to what's in the box, you've got the AC charging cable, and that's it. So you don't have the car charging cable, and you don't have the solar cable as well. It's a little bit of a bummer. You have to go find the cables and put them in your cart. So it's not a huge deal, but yeah, the main reason that they've done that is the car charging cable, so it became redundant when they released the Charger 1. If you don't know what that is, it's a fast charging method from your car. So it just hooks up into the car battery. It's very easy to do. Most people can do it, but if you're not tech savvy and you're not aware of the Bluetti ecosystem, you may just really like having that car charging cable, which will still give you 100 watt. The Bluetti Charger 1, on the other hand, will give you 560 watt. So if you're not sure what that is, definitely go check that out. That's very, very commonly bought with Bluetti products. And then the solar charging cable is, well, historically it's been a XC60 to MC4 cable. So it allows you to use solar panels that have MC4 ports. Now, the main reason I would assume that Bluetti have stopped doing that is that people have different cables on the end of their solar panels. MC4 is common, but so is Anderson. You can even get XT60 as well. So with 3 different ports, a lot of people are finding they're going to have to go buy an adapter anyway. So Bluetti sort of said, we're going to stop putting in the box. Well, I thought that's probably what they'd say. And then you can just go find the right cable for you and add it to your cart. So I guess that's fair enough. If you're using the Bluetti Elite 200 to power your van, the 12 volt outlet only has 10 amps. And that's enough for most things. But if you're running multiple things at one time, you're going to have to manage your load. It'd be awesome to see a 30 amp outlet on the 12 volt side. I know that Bluetti do have that on some of their power stations. If it's on the Elite 200, it really does open a lot more doors. And yeah, it allows you to enjoy stress-free van life, which is sort of what you're there for. I reckon this is probably worth mentioning. The difference between the US and the AU power stations are really not that different. I know a lot of people will call me up and ask me, oh, you know, I've seen a US review on YouTube. They've got 4 AC outlets. Is this a different unit? The simple answer is it isn't. The volt amp configuration in the US is different to Australia. In fact, actually, Australia has more powerful AC outlets than the US. So I think the US is 15 amps at 110 volts. In Australia, we've got 240 volt at 10 amps. So that is 2,400 watts. So in fact, we actually have more powerful outlets. The other thing is that Australia has more bulky 3-pin sockets, whereas the US has slimmer power plugs, which means you can fit more on a smaller space. Yeah, don't let the reviews fool you. There's plenty of US reviews going around, but yeah, the AC units only have 2, and that is plenty. So here's where I reckon it lands, comparing it to other 2 kilowatt hour power stations in the market. Now, if you're after a cheap bargain, there's cheaper products on the market. There's no doubt about that. The Bluetti Elite 200 or the Premium 200 is a premium product. It sits at the top of the market. The way they manufacture, test it is incredibly reliable, although it is a technical product. So of course you do get those instances where something happens and the product isn't performing correctly. In those times, what you really want to see is that they have a presence in Australia, and Bluetti do. So they don't just import the products and sit them in a warehouse. They actually have a team here as well. So if something goes wrong, you can send your Bluetti unit off for a repair, or even just a new unit as well, depending on what the problem is. So that's definitely a consideration I reckon you should take on. Apart from that, the inverter losses are extremely attractive, and I think the size is fantastic as well. The one thing that I would definitely like to see in the future power stations is expandable battery potential. Now, it's not a common feature in the market. Not many people do that. Not many brands do that, sorry. But there's definitely enough headroom in the inverter to cover most people and what they're looking for. Expandable batteries will actually just bring a bit more versatility into what you can use the power station for, including extended outages at home. Yeah, great power station. I'm a big fan. And if you have any other questions, you can actually reach out to us in True Gear, see if it's the right fit for you. If you're looking at purchasing one from Bluetti Official, you can use our coupon code TrueGear5%. But yeah, cheers for watching this wrap. And yeah, any comments, put down below.